Hey everybody, it is time for a 4:30 Q&A, and I just decided to go live to the full page here. We do this every week in the G4G members area, but coming to you today to see if I can help as many people as possible with this shift that took place in Groove Funnels in the last week. I believe it was around Thursday of last week, and so I'm going to share a little bit about that, show a little bit about that. If I can answer questions, I will answer questions. Would love to have you join in answering those questions. Hopefully, you can put some questions in the chat and I'll be able to see that. So if you're here, pop me a little note and let me know that you're joining. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone so I can make sure I can catch up there as well. So just one moment while some people join up. Let me just quickly. Okay, I see I got some messages here. Yeah, okay, so I see John is looking for it. Joanne's here. Somebody said, hey there. I'm not sure who that is. We're getting there. Hey, it's John. Okay, cool. You found us. Um, let's see who else is in the group today. And how many of you have tried using the new GroovePages editor and found out that it doesn't work the way it used to work? And what have you run into? Some good questions to ask. You can share it with your friends if you want to, so we can get some conversation going here. I'm trying to stack my phone up so that I can see messages there, but I'm seeing them here as well, so hopefully I can keep up with you. All right, well, we have a few that have joined, and I'm thinking that others will join us, so I'm going to do in the beginning here, and if you've been watching, I've done a couple of lives, and I've put out a video today for people to sort of get ahead of it. I didn't even know there was a new editor. Nice. Yeah, that's a thing. It's not actually a new editor. It's just that they changed how it's functioning, and it's pretty drastically different. And here's what I'm finding that I was just describing this to someone earlier today, that those of us who've been using GroovePages for long enough have learned how to use it the wrong way. In other words, it wasn't working correctly, so we learned the things we had to do to overcome it not working correctly. And what we're having to do now, because they're getting closer and closer to the way it ought to work, we're actually in the process of needing to change our mindset of how you build within GroovePages. And once we change our mindset, I believe we're gonna really like what we have. But I'm fully aware that none of us like change. So and none of us like change that we feel like is a negative change. Yeah, I noticed I could not access all 5 views. Exactly, John. That is definitely one of the things that we're finding. And again, that's startling, because how in the world are we going to change everything at one time? So the good news is you still can change every screen at the same time. The bad news is you can't change some things, and they're going to frustrate you until you figure out how to use those. So let's do this. Like I said, I did this earlier today. So here are 3 keys you can. These are mindset things that if you'll shift these mindsets, you're gonna begin to be much more successful. So number 1, I used to talk about the pages and design with all of the views in mind. So you build your desktop and you're thinking, okay, how's this going to work in how's it going to work when we're down here in mobile and all of that good stuff. Hey, David Lemon, you're here. Changes suck, as sometimes they're considered bad and sometimes they're good. Exactly. And especially when we're used to it, it's kind of like, what the heck? It was working fine. When it actually wasn't working fine, it was actually working the way it wasn't supposed to. So here's my first key: design for desktop. And what I mean by that is your mindset going in now needs to be, I'm going to make a beautiful desktop screen, and just do that. Don't think about any of the other pages, any other screen sizes, until you get a great looking desktop. So that's the first key, and that's different than it was before. The second key is After you've got a great looking desktop, then you're going to go through and you're going to adjust things on the other screen sizes. And I know if you followed me long enough, you know I told you don't keep as much adjustments in the desktop and little as possible in the mobile. Well, some of that control has been taken away from us, and it's for a good reason. But adjust after you've got the desktop beautified, and then finally adjust the text using the override if necessary. And I'm going to show each of these features and how they work as we sort of hang out here on this live for a while. So those are the three things to keep in mind. Start when you come into build, just build for desktop. After you've done the desktop build, go back and do adjustments. Final adjustments to your text, which is a different type of adjustment than for other elements. Okay, so here are another couple of principles to grab hold of. And this is where I see people saying, I changed it and nothing changed. It didn't flow. Nothing changed on the other ones, or everything changed on the other ones. So here are the real key things you need to know. Every element's styling flows screen to screen except spacing and sizing. All right, so let's do this. Let's do a screen share real quick, and let's take a look at this, what I'm talking about here. So when you look at the GroovePages editor, and this is a very basic template I just grabbed earlier this morning. First of all, you notice when you come in here, you click on an element. Look at that, there's no styling editor over here. So that's like, what did they do? They took away my styling editor. Well, the reason for that is you click on the pencil now. So no matter what element you're working with, in order to change the style, the size, the space, those kinds of things, we have to click the pencil. And once we click the pencil, this menu that we're used to over here shows up, and it will stay there until you click exit. All right. So once you click exit, the next time you want to use it, you have to click the pencil again. So I was back here. I was talking about designing for. Was I talking about designing for desktop? That needs to go away. Sorry, guys. I was back here talking about what do you do when you want to change an element and what things flow to other screens. That's what I was talking about. Somebody help me out. So these two right here, spacing and size, are the two things that don't go to every screen. Everything else, when you're working with an element, if you're going to move it across the screen, if you're going to move it up, if you're going to change, for example, when an element is inside a container, right? I'm not sure if this is going to work because it's in a nav bar. It's not going to work. When an element is inside a container, let's do this one here, and we change the layout, that flows to all of the screens. So if I go left, that's going to show up in all of the other screens. But if I change the size of that container, that size is not going to flow to the other screens. It's only going to change on this screen. So size and space does not automatically go to all the other screens. That's why you design your site in desktop, and then you go back and you change. After you've done it, you change those styling items over in the other screens. Okay, will there be a replay of this Q&A later? Yeah, should be. I'll save it up there, John, and you can take a look at it. Okay, so first thing, design and then make changes. So that the key, all element styling flows from screen to screen except spacing and sizing. Now, here's the thing that's a little confusing about that. The subset of elements called text, right? Those are actually elements. When you go over to the side, you can pull them in as an element, and you can style those. So again, let's go back over here to share the screen. Let's take a look at this. So again, I'm just kind of messing things up here, which is actually just a little tip here. If you're on an element and you get it messed up and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally screwed it up, this is an amazing little addition here. Right over on the top, it says reset styles. When you click on it, it puts it back the way it was. Did you see that? That was amazing. I'm gonna go do it again. Like, oh, how did I do that? I don't know how to fix it. I go up here and click trash, and I just put it back to the default setting, which is a fantastic help for when we're getting frustrated with we got things so out of whack we don't know what to do with them. All right, where am I at? I was talking about styles. I was talking about elements. And so what I was pointing out is that under elements, we have text. So text is a subset of all the other elements. And I just said that sizing and spacing don't flow. They don't change on every screen size when you change it. But here's the fact. Text has its own set of stylers, right? Right up here. You all know that up here at the top, we have this text styling. That does flow automatically to every screen size. So when you change size of text, as an example, like I make that header really small, and I go over here, it's really small here as well. See, it's 1 rem here, it's 1 rem here. Now, actually, that can be useful, and it can also be frustrating because, quite frankly, I want it to be, this size on the desktop, and it's too large down here. So how do I fix that? I go up here when I'm using text styling. And again, they flow automatically to every screen. And if I just want to change it on one screen size, I go up here to single screen override mode, turn this on, toggle this on. Now I'm only changing the text style on this screen size. So I'm going to make it 1.25 for the mobile here. And when I go back to desktop, it didn't change it. So those are the principles that we're working with is, let's go through those again. I'm going to go from the top to the bottom. Number 1, design with desktop in mind. That's the one thing you want to think about when you're designing. Number 2, adjust space and size on each screen size after you've gotten your desktop where you want it. Number 3, adjust your text settings, as we just saw, using text override if you want to make them individual changes on each screen. And that's true of bold, that's true of underline, that's true of any text styling automatically flows down to every screen, not just down, but up and down wherever you are. And then, so the other principles are all element styling flows screen to screen except spacing and sizing, and text styling, you have to use the override toggle to get it to be individual edit. All right, so let's do a little example here. Let's go ahead and just grab a block and pull something in here, and we're going to build, I don't know what we're going to build. We're going to build what we see down here. How about that? So down here we have like a block that has color in it, right? Or actually it has an image behind it. And then it has a container with a transparent image inside. So I don't know what that image is. We're just going to, for now, we're going to go put a background image in here. Whoops, sorry. Image, choose image. And I don't have any good backgrounds here. Yeah, sure. We'll use this one. And I'm going to auto, I'll make it parallax. Now so right at the beginning of this, when you're looking at something like this, what I've always done with blocks is the first thing I've ever done with blocks is I always put a little size or spacing padding in them, top and bottom. I always do that. It may not be necessary, but it helps me see the block. So based on what we know, that is not going to be transferred down to all the other screens. I'll show you. As a matter of fact, I think, David, I don't know if you're still on here, but we did notice yesterday that the, what are you LOLing me, Joanne? Oh, I'm not sharing my screen? What the heck? All right. Where did I stop sharing my screen? You guys are great. Kevin, show your screen. We can't see it. Somehow I need a louder shout or something so I know when I'm screwing up like that. Okay. You should be able to see my screen now. Is that correct? I hope it's correct. I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to go back over here. I think this is the piece that you weren't seeing. I hope that's true. Let me see. Give me a thumbs up or something if I'm if you're keeping up with me now. Yes, thank you, Joanne. Okay, now I can see all the messages on my phone. I wasn't seeing your messages on the phone. Okay, cool. So now I'm showing my screen. What I was saying is I added a block in here. I put an image behind it, and it has an empty container in it. And what I was saying is that every time I put a block in, I put this space in the padding above and below, right? Because I just think it makes a cleaner looking block. That's my opinion. But because we know spacing and sizing don't flow screen to screen, we'll go over here and see there's no space. Actually, what I was trying to say then also is we discovered yesterday that this background is not currently flowing screen to screen, but it's supposed to. So this is a bug. This is something that David said that their developers are working on. Okay, John, you say we saw nothing of this example. I think you're seeing it now. Okay, so we added a block. Now we have a container down here that has transparent background. It also has, it's the same image. So we're going to put a color in it. Again, the colors are not, the background of blocks are not flowing the way that they should. So this is a bug. So I'm going to go, though, and put in a background of black in here. And we're going to, the background color, transparency. There we go. All right, so we make it transparent that way. Yeah, the background issue is reported, and we're looking into it, right? Okay, so now we're going to add some text elements. Let's just add a header. I know I didn't put a logo in there, but I'm going to do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to change that. Now, so I'm working with text. I'm going to change the color, which is going to flow to every screen. So every screen is now going to have white text. I'm also going to center it. That's going to go to every screen size. So we go down here. Voila, it did not. This is fantastic. David, help me out, man. What the heck? This layout for text should have flowed down there. Hey, this is why we do Facebook Live, right? So we can see what works and what doesn't. Okay, so apparently that did not go to the other screens, but I think it should have. Oh. Always when you're doing a demo, make sure you check your settings. Look, Joanne caught me. Over here, single screen override mode is on. All right. All right. Thanks, David. Thanks, Joanne. See, we're learning together, right? Okay, now I'm going to go and let's see. I'm going to go to this screen. I'm going to just see what happens if I go left and center, see if that fixed it. Yep, that fixed it. Okay. There is a problem also, David. I think you might be aware of this, but this middle screen, this middle screen doesn't seem to be editable, or it doesn't react the way the others do. Sometimes I can't even change anything in here, so that's an issue. All right, so now we got our heading. Oh yeah, we changed the color here as well. Let's change the color to white, and now it's white over here. But we don't have the background. Remember, the block's not bringing the background over. Okay, let's put a header. Let's put an image in. And let's go just grab an image and put it above the header. And for those of you who are watching me often, I don't usually put a bunch of things in the base container of a block. I usually add another container inside that container for more control. Middle screen is the ugly duckling of GroovePrints. Nice. I love it. So I'm going to go configure it. I'm going to configure the image. I'll choose an image here. And let's see. Ray is my favorite. He's a good looking chap. Just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Ray. And we're going to update and put Ray's picture on there. That'll be our logo for today. All right. So here's the thing. First of all, I don't like what I've done with the transparency on this. Let's go to the container again. And let's give it a background of black. And change that transparency. Okay. It actually doesn't work as well. Let's do white. and change the transparency. That looks a little better. Okay, so again, we got Ray's picture on here. Now here's where we got to, so far things are, you know, the text is centering, we're adding things, but when we go to this, we say, oh gosh, that's way too large or whatever. We go to the size, we're going to pull it down relative to parent, and we go, that fits, you know, that's more like a logo we want on our screen, right? But what happened? It didn't change here, 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 or here. So that's going to be something we're going to have to go back and change on the particular screen size that after we develop the desktop. But I'm not worried about it because I know there's no way to fix that. There's no way to change that. I can't control that issue. So I'm just going to forget about it and I'm going to go fix it later. I say, okay, but what's the deal with this not being centered? You know, it's centered here. So I'm going to go to layout on this, do vertical centered, and I think that layout should have gone to the other screens. Look at that, it did. Okay, so layout flows, size and space doesn't. Let's see, what else do we have down here? We have a form. I think that's the main thing I wanted to show you is the element. When I change the size and spacing, it doesn't float. The text, without the override mode on, the text, I can change the size. Let's make it really tiny. And it's going to change it everywhere. You can't even see it over here because it's white on a white background. Everybody following? I think that's a pretty clear picture of what we're dealing with right now. Something else I want to show you is, again, if you've done any training with me, you know I have used the term never, ever, 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 never, ever, 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 ever touch these drag handles or these sizing handles. So I'm now ready to give up on that on one of those areas. Okay, so you can now take these, let's say you want to move this image down, right? So you would think, grab this drag handle and pull it down, right? Well, you would be wrong. So if we pull down, it goes up. If we push up, it goes down. So the reason for that is what you're doing with this drag handle is actually adding margin or removing margin. Let me show you what I mean. All right, so I'm gonna pull up and drag it down to the to the middle of that. Then I'm gonna click off of it and back on and go down here and look at spacing. It added 1.5 rem of margin on the outside of the image. That's how it pushed it down, right? Let's go do it again. Every time you want to move it, you have to click the pencil again. I'm going to pull it above. It's kind of cool, right? And if we go down to spacing, it still shows the same thing. I've learned that you have to click out of it and then click back on it, but it is tracking it here in the spacing. So now it's negative 2.8 margin. The reason this is okay to do this at this point is number one, you have control over it if you don't like what happened. Number two, if you really don't like what happened, you just click the trash and put it back the way it was. You get it back to the default setting, which you can see it changed the size as well. I'm going to go back and change my size down to here. And number three, and maybe the most important reason why it's okay to use these at this point is I can drag this. Well, actually, I can only do one way or the other, but I can move it over, like for whatever reason, I wanted to move it way over there. And look at this. It's fine on mobile. Voila. Look at that. It didn't mess mobile up. That means because it doesn't flow screen to screen, right? On mobile, I can say, you know what? I want this on mobile to be more to the right of the page, right? So I pull it over there as far. Oh, I hit the wrong drag bar. You know what is good? I click the trash can and we're back to where it was. So you see, I moved it to the right on mobile, and on the desktop, it stayed to the left. I can put it wherever I want to here. Oh, I did it again. I hit the wrong. Okay, okay. Note, these little boxes still don't work. I'm not sure, David, what's going on with that, but as soon as you use them, it just like gets screwy. It's like, at least I can't make them work. So I always have to just hit the trash, all the settings and move it back to the way I want it. If you grab this bar, you can move it back and forth. So there we go. That is styling for an image. So why does it work? Why does this not go to other screens? The reason it doesn't go to other screens is because it's based on spacing. And it's changing the spacing on the margins, and those don't flow. We know that. So let's go back to a different example now, and I'll show you a little bit more of a. Yeah, this one is. I don't know if it's my live Groove cell site or not. I hope not. Yeah, definitely not. Push here for pop-up is not one of my main site legends. Okay, so here we are, and let's say we're designing this, and we want to add, we want to add these columns down here. It's a layout 4x4x4x4. So we set them up. We change the size, right? This one, let's say we want to change the size. So we click on it, we go to size, and we change it to be, no, not auto. We change it to be relative to parent, really tiny. We want it to be really small here, right? And we want it to be really small here as well. I don't know why we would want to do that, but we might. It's not going to change it down here. So at the end, we just go back and say, okay, what do I want it to look like here? Space and size, I go back later and take care of them. Text, I go back later and change them so that they're ready for each screen. But the reason this is better is because it is much, much, much harder, if possible at all, to screw up screens by doing something in another size and coming back to it and finding out it's totally out of whack. You always have the option of hitting this reset, and you always have the option of doing the single screen override, and you're not going to, when you drag something with this bar, whoops, again, I did the... Okay, David, this is probably like because it's an existing page and has old code in it. If you're still here, let me know. Oh, no, it's because I'm on the middle screen. The ugly duckling of the Groove prints. Okay, so he already told me that. Let's go take there. I can drag it over here. Okay. What I was saying is the other reason it makes it harder to mess things up is because if I put it somewhere, like in the past, it would have made this huge, long piece of space over here. Like, that doesn't look good. Then we come over here and move it, and then it messed this up over here and messed this up over here. It's not doing that anymore because those things don't flow screen to screen. I'm done talking, and I've been on here for how long now? I don't know. And I'm going to go to this page again and throw me any questions you have in the chat, and I'll go back over them. If there's something that didn't make sense, I'll try to make it sense for you. So I'll wait for just a bit. I could also bring you on if you want to. I think I can turn on interview mode and bring you on, and you can show me some other stuff if you want. Okay, 14 minutes. We're good. So we'll finish up in a couple of minutes. All good? Not seeing any responses? Okay, guys, that is an overview, and hopefully that's helpful. I think the biggest thing that we got with this update is for everyday users that don't use Groove all the time and don't want to remember all the little things you have to remember. This is going to make it much, much easier if we get into that mindset. I'm going to hit them one more time. Number one, when you're doing design, when you're doing page setup, design it for desktop. Don't worry about the other pages. Don't worry about the other screen sizes. Just build yourself a nice, beautiful desktop. Number two, after you've built yourself a nice, beautiful desktop, go back and change the styling for elements. That would be the space and size of them. Everything else already flowed. The space and size, you're going to go back and fix that on the elements on the screen size. Number three, adjust the text, and if you want to do it specific screen by specific screen, you have to use the manual override, which is at the top. And those are the things you want to get in as a mindset. Okay, when did it go into effect? I think maybe Thursday, John. I'm not sure. It was Wednesday or Thursday of last week that this update came out. I might be wrong. It could have been Friday, but I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. So um, that's where we are, guys. And we're going to keep learning, and it's going to get better. Groove is getting better. If you didn't watch the State of the Groovian, please go watch it. It's 3 hours. You can probably skip the first part where if you're more interested in the product detail, you can probably skip the first part where Mike talks about the rebranding, and which is really exciting as well. But the product, what it's going to come out with, those things are crazy exciting, and I hope you'll go take a look at those. The State of the Groovy, and the replay is available in the Groove group, so you can go watch that. Okay, guys, I am doing a funnel build tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm doing a funnel build on Wednesday morning at 10, and I'm doing a funnel build next week, next Monday at 7 o'clock. So we got 3 builds here right in a row, and the reason I'm doing several more, usually it's just one a week. The reason I'm doing more is to say, let's learn this GroovePages side as well as we can. Joanne said from a true techie. Oh, excited about the updates. Okay. All right, guys. See you either tonight, or I'll see you in the G4G group, or sometime you want to touch base with me, leave a comment, or you can message me anytime, and I'll be glad to get back with you. Have a good day.